It's a pretty big announcement this morning. The government does have a vaccine if and when it is found to be safe. Some 25 million doses that'll be produced here, but that'll cover everyone if they choose to take it up.
Good news, but Scott Morrison pretty cautious as to whether it will actually work, and we know other countries have similar agreements. More agreements. Chris Bowen's leaping on social media, the opposition health spokesman this morning, and saying that this is only a letter of intent. Other countries have agreements, so a bit to play out on this.
So still more to go.
Well, I think so. Yeah. And the other thing is, look, the suggestion is that other countries have 5 or 6 agreements. This is one. But look, it's better than nothing. The real assurance in here, which every Australian will welcome, is that every Australian will be able to access it. But still the question as to whether it will work. Now, Greg Hunt, the most optimistic I've seen him on Sunday in relation to this, and he's kept up that optimism, so I hope he's right. I hope we can trust him on it, that there's a good chance the thing will work.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking, in the meantime, we're looking at this not being available anyway until more than likely deep into next year, at least past the halfway point of next year.
But that's better than we were expecting, right? Like, yeah. I've sort of been on operating on the premise this pandemic could last 5 years. So then I guess it becomes a question, because Greg Hunt in previous months has said it's going to be like a flu shot, so it doesn't guarantee you. You know, you can have a flu shot and still get the flu.
Yeah.
So
or
is it at that level, or are you completely immune?
Or if you need booster shots as well on the back of that.
And so you asked him about that, I think, and he said, yeah, we'll look to that. But, you know, I mean, I think those are all questions. This is a start by the government, and they're keen to push now that, you know, we are working on this. We are on your side on this.
OK, just onto this outbreak from Sydney. I guess it's a case of deja vu again. You've got a security guard who had been working at hotel quarantine at the Marriott in Sydney, but then went on to work at the markets, courthouse in Parramatta as well. I mean, now there's the question about whether someone should be allowed to do that. Greg Hunt wasn't really going there, but I mean, that's a worthwhile question, I would have thought.
Well, they shouldn't be. And I hope the state government changes the operations on this, because surely Victoria's a case in point. I've got a lot more faith in New South Wales's contact tracing and testing and getting on top of outbreaks. That's been demonstrated over the past month and a half, so I don't think we'll see a Victorian-type leak out of this. But it just shows that elimination's impossible if you're going to take people into hotel quarantine.
Yeah, well, New Zealand has proven that anyway.
And I heard yesterday a suggestion that maybe a tradie had worked on a hotel and passed it on in New Zealand. In this case, they're examining CCTV to see how this leaked out. The police are involved, but there's no suggestion of the rumours in Melbourne of an intimate relationship, anything like that. It's probably a guard touching a bag or a door handle. But the disturbing thing, as you say, is that they then went to work in other places. That wouldn't be our expectation around this thing. The other point that's been made to me, 45,000 people have been through hotel quarantine in Sydney. So for this to be the first leak, not a bad achievement.
Yeah, and the tracing team for New South Wales seems to be really good. Despite what happened with Ruby Princess, New South Wales Health has been pretty strong since that point.
I think that's right. I mean, by rights, when you look at Victoria, we should be shut down by now in New South Wales, but that hasn't occurred.
Just onto wine, we've got a minute left, but is this anti-dumping or is it part of a trade war?
Oh, it's clearly retribution for political attacks by the Morrison government on China.
Well, it's from those leaked comments from a few months ago. It has proven to be true.
Well, spot on, except it wasn't the people who did it. It was the Chinese ambassador said it was the government. But this will continue if we're not careful. I mean, I understand Scott Morrison wants to stand up to a bully, and I understand it works for him politically, domestically, but we need to be careful about our export markets too.
Well, there's suggestions now that maybe milk powder products could be next.
Well, anything, but as long as it's not iron ore, I guess. That's the main thing. Iron ore and coal, that's where all the money is. But there's still, you know, $1 billion a year in the wine industry.
Well, and how do you make that back? I mean, we had a representative of the industry on our show a little bit earlier, and he mentioned that if they increase tariffs by 80%, which is what they did with barley, they won't be able to export to China. They'll write it off.
Well, even at the start of this thing, people senior in the federal government expressed as much concern about the China relationship and that effect on the economy as they did on the pandemic in terms of what it could do to the economy and unemployment. So it is a concern.
OK.